Welcome to the Euro Lounge.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, what are we talking about today?
Talking about innovation, what's happened in the last
Technology
10 years.
And
Yep.
automotive culture.
Yes.
Has the definition of fast car changed
Oh, definitely.
in the last 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years?
Yeah,
I think it's more
It's-
putting the power down, right?
that's right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, manufacturers have been making a lot of horsepower for a long time.
yeah.
In the 50s and 60s.
But
they
the
were pushing
way
300,
an
400
electric
horsepower.
vehicle puts down power
Yeah.
now, it's just,
But even
unreal.
the internal combustion engines.
yeah.
I mean, if you look through through technology, like
Look at Porsche.
yes,
Dude.
where they're using electric truck distributors.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more than just horsepower. It's because my next question, and this comes up a lot, is what's for 2025 and the years to come? Are people really looking for what should people aspire for? A lot of horsepower, or are we talking about handling, efficiency, weight reduction?
I think weight reduction should be a big thing.
Yeah,
Because with losing weight, you gain a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Fuel mileage, wear on tear on
Yeah.
parts. The lighter we can make a vehicle, the better for a lot of things. Less horsepower to make it fast, less braking power to slow it down.
yeah. So actually, even our race car, like I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you're about 400 horsepower, but
It
in the last
feels
couple
so
of years,
fast.
we've removed so
Yeah.
much weight off of it.
Yeah,
That by installing lighter weight components,
yeah,
and it's made such a difference in our times.
yeah.
Yeah, just by removing the weight.
Yeah.
And being, like you said, being able to put the power down, that makes a big difference rather than just having more and more horsepower.
Yeah,
Because
just
more
adding
horsepower comes
power.
at a cost.
But then you have all this weight, right?
Yeah, that you're trying to drag behind you. Yeah. Yeah, because I guess at what point does adding more horsepower becomes just unnecessary?
At what
Again, going
point-
back to the 60s and 70s, manufacturers were adding more horsepower, but things were still very, very heavy.
Barely, yeah, they were
Yeah.
barely held together too at the same
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Like look at old suspension compared to the new
That's
stuff.
right. Yeah.
Like how many control arms are on some of these BMWs?
Yeah.
Compared to what
and
a
that
leaf
makes the
spring-
vehicle handle so much better.
Oh yeah,
Last so much longer.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the handling, right?
So just having ton of horsepower doesn't necessarily mean you're faster.
no, you have to be able to
Yeah.
put it down, and it depends. Like, are we drag racing
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah. Well, I
are we
guess like,
going
no,
on
no,
the
no,
street
no,
road
Generally,
course,
we're talking
right?
about
Like,
just kind of like road cars.
yeah, road.
For the young generation that
driving.
really like, a tuned vehicle, a performance vehicle.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
sure. You could have a big block,
Yeah.
all the cubic inches,
Yeah.
supercharge it, whatever. You'll go fast straight. But
Yeah.
will the guy in the Beamer or whatever catch up to you with less horsepower, get around you because he has better handling and can actually put that power down to
Yeah.
the ground? Meanwhile, you're
Yeah.
probably just spinning wheels, right?
yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, technology has gone a long way, and I guess manufacturers are always going to innovate, because what they're trying to achieve is efficiency. Vehicles have to become a lot more efficient,
yeah,
especially with the push towards like the Green New Deal and the Green New thing, where like emissions is a big deal.
yeah.
They're gonna have
emissions.
to make vehicles a lot more efficient, and even cost efficiency by them building the vehicles a lot cheaper using recycled materials, lighter weight materials, and fuel efficiency is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because horsepower comes at a cost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And not everybody's going to drive around with their V8, right? Just
Yeah.
as their daily car.
Well, actually,
So if they want to sell a lot of cars, they got to make it efficient.
if you look how they're taking the V8s and they're installing, like GM has their DOD.
DOD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cylinder shut down. So
Yeah.
really, most vehicles that are V8, they're driving,
Yeah.
cruising around in 4 cylinders. That's it.
Right?
And that is part of technology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've, but, I mean, what would you choose?
What would I pick?
Would you choose an
nowadays?
electric vehicle versus an internal combustion engine?
No. Probably
Why?
not. Why? Just the charging hassle and probably the distance.
Yeah.
If I want to go somewhere far, it's just
Yeah.
it's not going to be efficient, right?
Yeah.
Spending hours at a charging station
Yeah.
or remembering to plug it in at the end of
Mhm.
the day.
Yeah.
Being in a place that you are able to plug it in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a lot harder up here where Where is the closest Tesla charger to here?
That's right. Yeah, you have to drive 30 minutes from here.
Probably.
Yeah.
Barry,
I guess
Vaughn.
the thing is, though, people are, manufacturers are adding more horsepower. Now your average entry-level vehicle has 240 horsepower.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And again, this has all come through technology. Because they can still maintain the same efficiency. You can get like 7 liters per 100 kilometers in a vehicle that has 240 horsepower. But through technology of the turbochargers and...
Advancement in timing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Being able to change all the parameters.
All
DVT.
the transmissions. Most transmissions now are 10-speed
Yeah.
transmissions. You're cruising a vehicle.
Transmissions
even a tow
for
vehicle,
sure,
like you're
big
looking
thing.
you're cruising at 60 kilometers an
Yeah.
hour in 10th gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we've seen, I guess, one thing that brings up is like the cost of maintenance and repairs on these kind of vehicles. They've almost become, and we see it at the shop all the time.
Everything has gone
Yeah.
up so much.
Mu-
It's almost like you can't even do it at home
Yeah.
for certain things anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Even technology in oils had made a huge difference. If you look now, modern vehicles, they all require at least 030, 020. Toyotas require 0W16.
Yeah.
Such a unique oil.
Yeah.
It comes at a cost. It's a lot more expensive to at least they sell it to us. It
Yeah.
costs more money to purchase, to buy. So oil changes have become more expensive, but
Yeah, even the little things like oil changes,
yeah.
a lot more expensive.
Yeah. Brakes have become bigger. They cost a little more money
Yeah.
to repair, I guess. Do you think we're ever going to go back to low horsepower engines? Do you think manufacturers are going
Low
down?
horsepower?
You see them ever bringing a car
in
out
North
that's
America,
160 horsepower?
I don't know.
Has it become a culture?
I feel like
cultural
no.
change?
I feel like the motor has to make a decent amount of power
Yeah.
around here, like America, North America. People need that power on tap. Like
Yeah.
you need to be able to pass somebody.
That's right,
You can't
yeah,
pass
yeah.
somebody with old Volkswagen Bug. What do they make? Like 50 horsepower?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
even get up to 100, let alone
Well, they're designed to be very
get
cheap.
around someone. They can't make a new car with
Yeah.
that low of horsepower. It's just unsafe, really.
Do you think it's a cultural thing now? Like everybody wants higher horsepower? Because the question comes up a lot. It's like, how much horsepower?
Right?
Even
That
when
is-
the
that's the
DLS
question.
swaps, it's like everybody wants the 6.2 because he puts out 460
Yeah.
horsepower
Yeah.
factory. So, well, like you've done go-karting.
Yeah.
You've done you've raced go-karts professionally.
Yeah, 9 years.
Have you noticed anything? What's changed from when you first started to 9 years
even,
later?
Yeah, so even with the go-karting, I guess a lot of things have changed.
Mhm.
Availability of parts,
Yeah.
very
That is
accessible
huge,
now.
yeah.
Before you had to like have the guy or buy it at the track.
Yeah.
Right now we have Amazon. We have all these ways of getting it. There's a lot of stuff on the internet now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of help on the internet as to how to go-kart, how to tune in your go-kart. Like
Yeah.
most of it was always how do you set it up for the track you're racing,
Mm-hmm.
right? For that day. Because it'll
Yeah.
be different tomorrow. It'll be different, a little bit colder, say it's wet out, anything, right? The direction of the track you're doing, the layout, everything changes. So every race day was always the battle of who could set up their kart the best
Yeah.
for that track.
Yeah.
And now so when I left, we were dealing with these Briggs & Stratton motors called the
Mhm.
Animal.
Yeah.
And they were kind of new. So there were some that made way more just out of the box. They're all sealed motors.
Yeah.
You can't touch anything in them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's people who now have put them all on dynos and they take one carburetor off one motor, put it on the other one. Oh, it makes more power on that motor. Okay. So now everybody's fighting for everybody has the same horsepower. They're all
Yeah.
battling, right, with the same, like the maximum. Before it was kind of all over the board. You could buy one and be
Yeah.
slow. You could buy the next one and be the fastest guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody's kind of dialing those in. The pack is tighter. You can see the fields when they're racing, like how much tighter they are together
Mm-hmm.
just by like, uniforming the motors, right?
Yeah.
So-
yeah. There's a question that comes up a lot. Like how much horsepower is enough for a street car versus a track car?
That's a big question.
Because
eh?
again, the question is like horsepower.
Yeah.
And that's the topic, I guess, it's horsepower versus technology and advancement. Like we were talking about, lightweight made a huge difference. Our customers always ask us like, how can I make my car faster? And the first thing that we say is by making it lighter.
Yeah, take the
Yeah.
spare tire out. Start
Well, we still have to have it safe for the road.
carbon fiber.
Yeah. So how much is too much for the street? I guess in Canada we have speed restrictions, like 100 kilometers an hour. I guess now it's 110
Yeah,
kilometers
you
an hour.
can't
It's the
even use a
maximum
lot of
you
the
can go
power that
anyways.
these cars.
Most people
put
take it up
down,
a notch
but-
from there.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, even on your average vehicle.
Yeah.
So what I say to the customers all the time is like, you can build a car for the street to be faster than factory, just so you can have that accomplishment that you feel like you have a
Feel
higher
like you're
horsepower.
accelerating faster.
Yeah,
You-
accelerating faster.
You got the number on your dyno sheet. You know,
Yeah.
my car makes this much.
But
Can you use it?
we
No.
emphasize handling a lot.
Yeah.
Being able to stop, being able to corner a lot, and making your vehicle
Proper suspension.
proper
right?
suspension.
It's
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
Big thing.
So
and
we
a lot of it.
emphasize that more than just horsepower, because most vehicles, like, we really like the N54s, and this is a topic for another day. We really like the N54s, but they do make 330 horsepower from factory,
Yeah.
and this is in a 3,200 pound sedan.
Mm-hmm.
With just a tune, we can get that car to 400 horsepower.
Yeah. I think 400 is a good number
It's a
for
good-
the
yeah.
street.
Uh,
I mean,
Well,
you want to be fast on the
yeah,
street, you're
yeah.
like 600, right?
Dep-
But that's hard.
the
That's
thing,
hard.
because
That's like a hard number to get
you're
to.
always comparing, like, most guys come in with like a not Honda, like a BMW, like an Audi A4 or an S4 or BMW 335, and then if you're trying to match with the Hellcats or
Yeah,
the
you can't match with their 900
Vipers or
horsepower.
that push 900 horsepower, yeah. But
I mean, for the street, a light car,
yeah,
500 horsepower,
Yeah.
you're gonna be pretty fast,
yeah,
right?
yeah. That's right.
Sure,
yeah.
you could have a Hellcat
Yeah.
at 900 horsepower, but it weighs,
It weighs a lot more.
a lot more. And in, what are those? Just rear wheel drive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
then get into some of these all wheel drive cars, and you'll be taking off a lot better than them.
Man, we'll tell them once. I mean, they'll be able to see it on social media once you finish the 1260 horsepower
Oh,
Viper.
yeah.
Is that an average vehicle?
That is not an average
That is
vehicle.
not average.
I don't
That's
know
gonna
if it's, I don't know if it's ever gonna hook up on the street ever.
What's the size of the rear tire that we're doing on it?
So like a 315.
No, 335 at least.
The new tires.
Yeah,
335.
335.
It's gonna
On the
need to
back.
be. Yeah.
So we're gonna try to even grip it,
Yeah.
grip the road at all. I mean, have you heard of the hydrogen vehicles? I mean, I'm sure you have heard of it.
The hydrogen vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting
Who
amazing.
did I see? Who's doing it right now? Is it Nissan or Toyota that just came out with their prototype, and they're trying to have it out on the road?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Their prototype by this year, by the end of this year.
Okay.
It's a cool idea.
Oh yeah. I mean, haven't a lot of people gotten like over the years for, over that?
Conspiracy
or what?
theories. Yeah.
No,
It's
hydrogen's really cool. If we can do that, the problem is they can't store enough of it on same thing,
Yeah.
range.
well, big problem with hydrogen vehicles.
They got to make it the car generate
safety too.
itself.
Yeah. I think it's the zero emission again.
Oh, yeah.
Toyota's is who's, right? Toyota, yeah, that's who's putting out the vehicles, the hydrogen vehicles. I mean, there's still so much to learn about it. They haven't said a whole lot about it. People
Yeah.
have been modifying their vehicles to run on hydrogen.
Yep.
How safe that was, I guess we don't know, but we'll find out. So, you think are the automakers still fighting to have who's putting out the fastest horsepower vehicle out there, or what do you think automakers are fighting for?
I'm not sure.
In the early 2000s, everybody wanted to reach 1,000 horsepower and have a mass-produced.
Yeah, they were
1,000
always
horsepower
fighting to like, who has the best 0 to 60,
Yeah.
who has a best top speed. And
Yeah.
but then when certain companies like McLaren and all these guys,
Yeah.
Koenigsegg, started just hitting these outrageous numbers,
Yeah,
they can't compete with that. So now they're going to,
yeah, but it's tough because that's not mass.
they're going to go towards the general public,
Yeah.
right?
Like
They're going to focus on,
GM is
What
is
can
selling
we
a
give
1,000
the
horsepower
general
vehicle for $120,000.
yeah, no, that's not feasible for a lot of people, right? So
Yeah.
what are they, in what market do you think?
What market?
Like, are they battling for? Which one are you talking about?
I guess
More like the general public one?
General public, yeah, different.
What are they
levels.
pro-
It's like
Probably-
when you're buying a new truck
Probably
nowadays.
most horsepower for the best fuel economy.
For example, if
right?
you take the SUVs or even the pickup trucks, when you look at Ford, Dodge,
It's all torque.
it's all torque, towing capacity, and fuel
Torque,
efficiency.
towing capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're fighting for.
So that's why, like your old truck,
Yeah.
the little turbo
Yeah,
4-cylinder.
The 4-cylinder turbo.
Your truck could technically tow more than my 6.6 Duramax
Yeah.
because your truck's way lighter,
Yeah.
still makes a lot of torque, and you can still tow right? But the allowability on our roads, how much weight you're allowed to tow. Your truck could unsafely tow way more weight than mine can.
We've done
like
so
a
much
breeze.
towing with that little 4-cylinder.
I know.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't
I
have.
probably shouldn't have, but it still works. It's got 120,000 kilometers on it now.
Yeah.
With no issues. Yeah. But that's when you are talking about the pickup truck and SUV market, you see a lot about towing capacity
Yeah.
and efficiency. And I guess the same idea in the small vehicles. Reliability is another thing that they're talking about. And we care. The end consumer cares about how reliable the vehicle is.
Absolutely. Reliability wise. Yeah.
Every time when a recall comes out by Toyota or a manufacturer that they're recalling back a million vehicles
trucks,
because their engines are failing prematurely. Like
Yeah.
Range Rover has their issues and BMWs with their V8 engines. rod bearings
Everybody
failing.
always has their
Yeah.
issues when they develop something new, though.
Yeah.
The first gen of
okay.
everything is always like the test run.
It's a fair point. Yeah.
The second, third
Yeah.
time around, once they've
That's why you never buy
never buy the
the
first,
first. Never be the first one to buy.
one. Yeah.
Do you think regulators are going to cap the horsepower or performance?
I feel like they would try to, but
Yeah.
I don't think they can. Like how?
Well, I mean, they've
Are
done
they
it.
gonna cap street horsepower at 1,200 horse?
Yeah.
Like no.
Well, I guess they're not putting it that way. They're not capping the horsepower necessarily, yeah. But what they're capping, they're gonna
Like, what
just
if
try to
Dodge's
cap.
next car? Like they're always
They're
just
gonna
gonna
try
go
to-
up little by little by little by little.
They're gonna try to cap the emissions that come out of the tailpipe.
Yeah,
You gotta make
exactly.
it even more efficient.
Yeah.
We see some of these new vehicles. If you look at the catalytic converters that are in these vehicles, are yay big.
Huge.
Tons of sensors in them. Like Jaguar, the F-Pace that we were working on, has 6 oxygen sensors
Yeah.
in it. Each O2 sensor is $400. So I guess they can't really restrict the horsepower. I mean, maybe they could in some countries. I don't know. But is they're trying to restrict the amount of emissions that come out of the tailpipe?
Yeah.
And manufacturers have to comply with that. So what are they going to do? Reduce emissions? Vehicle shut off?
Well, they've already tried to.
Start and stop
fool-
features?
They've already tried to fool the computers.
Oh,
Who was
Volkswagen
that?
did that.
Volkswagen?
Yeah, Volkswagen did that.
Yeah.
They got caught.
Yeah.
No. But you see like the start stop feature. Are you a fan of it?
It's definitely has its place.
Yeah?
Downtown Toronto, for sure.
Well,
Because you're going stoplight to stoplight. You're just sitting there.
yeah.
You could be idling for 45 minutes out of your hour drive down there.
Problem with the start
Up
stop
here-
is like
I don't know. I feel like it's got to do some damage to itself
of course, yeah.
by using it.
How ideal
Kind of
is
like
it
the
for
DOD.
Yeah.
It would compress some of the valves, and then the valve springs would weaken, right,
Yeah.
over time.
How
like
ideal is it for the
Starter
engine to start and stop
that many times. True.
that many times?
Yeah.
Especially a diesel.
I know there's been tests done, like how much fuel does it take for an engine to start and stop,
Yeah.
and how many seconds of it running is that worth? Like it's quite a bit. So as long as you're actually stopped for 30 seconds or more,
Then it would make
then
sense.
it's worth it for
Yeah.
sure.
But it's tough with my diesel so many times. Like
It just
you
hit
just
the brake
the
too hard.
second second the engine stalls, then you want to restart it.
Exactly.
And you can hear oh,
Yeah.
and that happens so many times. And it's a diesel.
Yeah.
It's not that
But
ideal.
like, how is
for-
the car
for-
supposed
yeah.
to tell,
It's not
how
too
long
ideal
you're going to
for
sit
the
there?
bottom end. Rod bearings must be taking a hit on that.
Yeah.
So cylinder sidewalls from the rings
Constant.
constantly starting and stopping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's just so much more to learn about cars, about what's coming in
Yeah.
the next 5 years. We'll see what Trump has to offer for the automakers. But one thing's for sure, manufacturers are going to try to make vehicles cheaper and cheaper because it is getting more and more expensive.
they're kind of getting outrageous.
Yeah.
How
It
much
is
is an
getting
average
outrageous.
truck right now?
That's right.
Over 100 grand?
Well, not an average truck, but an average vehicle truck right now is probably $65,000 to $70,000. When
Base
5
model.
years ago,
Yeah.
it was 35 to 40 grand maybe.
Yeah.
Like the Ram 1500, the classic, they made it up until 2024. 5 years ago, you were able to get it around the $40,000 for a base model. Now for under 55, you're not touching anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're gonna try to make things cheaper and cheaper, and that's gonna come at a cost. Yeah, and they're becoming all these technologies they're putting in the vehicles is very tough for your average mechanic shop or your average person to work on their own vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's having to go in somewhere to an actual shop. To
It's
get it
almost
fixed.
disposable.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you can't fix it at home, you're,
Yeah, out of warranty, you have to get rid of it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Matt, that was good. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I guess for our viewers out there, thank you very much for watching us. You can go and follow us on social media at Euro Automotive or Instagram. Facebook, and TikTok. And this episode is coming out in the next couple of days on Spotify. Until next time.